she did her best job in guiding me in all things in life. I was a flower girl in 2 weddings, one of which, I'm not sure if it was this one or the other one, I fainted up front in front of the entire congregation. So she thought she prepared me for everything. There's always something that they managed to do that we didn't think of to prepare our children for. And my biggest memory was my father carrying me down the center of the congregation, and I was worried that he hadn't scooped up the bottom of my dress and that everyone was going to see my underwear. But she did her best to prepare me for every single thing that might come along. I just came up with some ones on my own. A lot of you are familiar with the role that my father played in my church life, my spiritual life, with his service to the church as the art director and the artist for the church. And my mother was happy to take second billing because she was a lot shyer than my dad. But I was always very aware of her contribution. I've had a conversation with several of you in this congregation about how back in that time, women were not seen as often speaking at the 11 o'clock service. They were, however, permitted to provide service to Christ in the early morning service, because nobody really attended that one anyway, so if they messed it up, it was no big deal. My mother had a beautiful voice, whether she was singing, here it comes, or whether she was speaking. Her original career designs were to become a journalist, but it took a totally different lifestyle back in the late 40s and 50s to pursue that, and eventually marriage and children and all of that took over. But she always used her talents within the church and with several women's organizations. And I often heard her singing during different parts of the service as well. I was really blessed in having parents that were both nurturing and both guiding in their own ways. Dad had his things and his words of advice for me, and my mother had her ideas, and while my brother and I joked that our family was seriously dysfunctional, looking back, it was pretty functional. I've seen some real sad stories, and as you grow up, you learn that not all families are your typical. I used to refer to them, if some of you are old enough to remember, the first readers we had with Dick and Sally, Dick and Jane, Sally, Puff, the dog. I had such a bubble of Americana, middle-class family. We might have a picture in the dictionary of our family under average American family. But my dad had his lessons that he taught me, and my mother definitely had her lessons. I recently experienced a situation where I befriended a young woman with a child, a single mom, and I tried to help her out with a place to live for a while. It was such a mixed relationship, because sometimes I would feel so much for her with my heart, and then she had a way of irritating me. So I would go back and forth, and a good friend of mine, and of course I have to share with everybody everything, and my friend Christy said, "Susan, do you like her or do you not like her?" And I said, I do like her, and I constantly reminded myself, you're given a guidebook by your family, and if you're lucky, you've got a good guidebook, and you've got a firm foundation to fall back on. And if I hadn't had that, I'm sure that I would have made a lot of the same bad decisions that I saw my friend make. But I also saw her struggling to do better. So I was just fortunate in having that guidebook, and I can't tell you how many times I think life to all of us seems a little crazy and overwhelming, even when we're enjoying all the blessings of life. We have moments at 3 o'clock in the morning and we think, how did I get here? How did this get to me in my life? What am I going to do with this? Can I even really go on? It's a fleeting moment, but I've had it. And I just feel the strength of my mom, because my mom was a no-nonsense mom. And there were moments that she said to me, basically, put on your big girl panties and get on with it. And so that was a really sustaining piece of advice that she has given me my whole life. And I told my husband the other day, I said, you know, pajama day without pajamas is a lot easier than Mother's Day without Mother.
Yeah.
And while I'm blessed to have a son and to be a mother, and I never lose sight of that blessing for 1 minute. It's definitely a bittersweet experience for those who don't have our mothers with us. But she's with me.
Amen.
She'll always be with me.